Thank you everyone for attending. First and foremost, we here at Sharp hope everyone is staying healthy and safe during these trying times. We truly appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedules to join us for these extensive IT discussions. This particular one in reference to rethinking your office footprint. My name is Nick Dreyfus and I'm the Director of IT Services for Sharp Electronics in Southern California. Please note that we will leave some time at the very end for questions, so if you have any, please enter them in the Q&A section as we go along. We'll be sure to address all of them at the very end of the presentation. Now, with all that being said, let's take a look at the current landscape of the office footprint. Here's just a sample of Microsoft's research from before the shelter-in-place mandates came down, and it forced many of us out of the office. What stands out to me is where Microsoft reported that by the end of 2020, 72% of employees will have the ability to work remotely and more specifically from home. I can't imagine how that's changed in the past couple of months. In addition, many of these 180 million offices and office spaces are going unused at this very moment. I also want to point out that 3 billion Skype minutes per day. A little later on, we're going to share an updated statistic from Microsoft, and it's very impressive. Before moving on, I also want to share that teams with high employee engagement rates are 21% more productive. That's an important statistic because it is a great example of why we are here discussing the need to empower your remote workforce using cloud technology. Now, we all know all of you have seen these numbers continually grow over the years, but I'd like to point out just a couple of key figures, and these were posted pre-COVID. Studies are still being conducted and these figures are growing at a greater rate than ever before. In the top left corner, 62%. This is the small to mid-sized businesses that lack the skills in-house to deal with security issues and find that they're ill-equipped to deal with cyber attacks. In the lower left-hand corner, 43%. This is the small to mid-sized businesses that were targeted in cyber attacks in 2018. So what does it all mean? Well, it appears that the future of work may look more like this than what we've grown accustomed to. Which brings us to why we are here and how Sharp can help. Let's face it, at the end of the day, we're not sure if anyone can predict what will happen over the next 2 months, let alone 2 years. However, Sharp is committed to helping you stay up to date with all the new workplace trends and offer a path toward success in this continually changing environment. Today, it's not the big that eat the small. It's the fast that eat the slow. Everyone now needs access to advanced tools and cloud technology everywhere, not just in the office. Let's start by taking a look at some of the common challenges associated with a remote workforce. First and foremost, the sharing of information and teamwork is now more important and also more difficult than ever since we are all separated by more than just geography these days. Same goes for our need to efficiently process our current workflows and ensure compliance standards. Managing to standards is demanding during any situation and can become increasingly more complex with a remote workforce, which leads directly to maintaining productivity and, of course, controlling costs. You can't manage what you can't measure, and without the proper systems and consistency, it's very difficult to keep up with increasing demand of our remote workforce and customers. And most important of all, we can't overlook the need to protect our organizations from the growing cyber threats that can come at any time. Hackers and cyber criminals are not waiting for the vaccine to send us all back to the office. In fact, they're doing just the opposite and working diligently to take full advantage of the remote accessibility and BYOD environments that can make any network extremely vulnerable. Why move to the cloud? Cloud computing is utilized at least one or multiple data centers to run servers, apps, storage, software, and virtual desktop environments, which gives a business the ability to work from anywhere in the world, allowing access based on the configuration to employees, clients, and even third parties. Utilizing the power, compliance, and resources of major cloud providers like Amazon's AWS, Google, and Microsoft Azure. Here is where those data centers are currently located in the world. All 3 of these platforms are adding them nearly every month, and this number is continually growing. Cloud computing equaling agility. Now, this is a really great slide because this one shows how that particular impact is having a measurable impact on business itself. First and foremost, on the left-hand side, over 20%, that's the average improvement in time to market. Almost 20%, average increase in company growth. An average increase in process efficiency is over 18%. Now, that being said, there were some great reductions happening at the exact same time based on cloud computing. Over 16%, the average reduction in operational costs. Every CFO is going to love that one. Over 15%, that's the average reduction in IT spending. Also, any CTO, CFO is going to love that one. Finally, over 16%, the average reduction in IT maintenance costs. These are all key figures for today's timeline in making sure that your business is able to be agile and be able to adapt to all the changing market trends. With cloud computing, your business has the ability to move to another location without taking systems down to be moved. We're going to reduce your infrastructure capital cost up front and even the footprint. No need to have those servers physically in-house. With solutions like Office 365, you can even reduce the need for some servers like storage/file servers with solutions like OneDrive and SharePoint. Cloud computing pros and cons. Obviously, we just went over this one, but it is probably one of the largest. The agility, the ability to work from anywhere. In times like now, we don't know what's going to take place in the next 6 months, but wouldn't it be nice if you were on vacation and you had to go to Barbados, but you really had a client that needed something? You can just jump on a computer, even from Barbados. It can be just about anybody's computer and you can still jump on and do everything. It's a nice benefit. Reduced downtime. Most solutions offer what we call 5 nines uptime, which is a 99.999% uptime. Server and operating systems and access are typically included. Increased security. AWS, Azure, even Google have many layers of security most businesses could never afford on their own. Now here's your cons. Obviously that monthly cost, it's going to be in perpetuity. You're limited by the provider's security solution, which could change at any time. And the employees, they need internet access to do basically every type of their computing. Now here's some common server access challenges in which the cloud can either be very beneficial or eliminate. Obviously the file sharing. If you have a current file system structure today and it's not able to be sent through the VPN and you're having access failures, your employees can't get in. Cloud computing can eliminate this. Local internet issues, bandwidth, dispersed resources, cloud power outages, and then obviously the solutions for mobile access. Cloud can bridge all these gaps. Now we're noticing that Microsoft Teams is beginning to stand out as the industry leader. Much like Google revolutionized the search engine technology in the 90s, Microsoft Teams is becoming the gold standard of collaboration software. Just recently, Teams went from 44 million active daily users to 75 million in just a matter of days. That's a 70% increase with over 4.1 billion meeting minutes in April alone. Teams is now the fastest growing app in Microsoft history and highly recommended in today's IT service solution for all those reasons and many more. Reduce your office footprint. As you can see, the changing workplace. New offices are going to be smaller, but smarter. With workers at home, the collaboration needs to happen at a moment's notice. Teams can quickly have a conference call with solutions like Teams or Slack while working on a document. Could you eliminate cubicles and just go to a few closed offices and huddle spaces with 1 or 2 conference rooms? The majority of people, 82% responding to a recent Forbes survey, stated that they really like being able to work from home. With the cloud, you can even move offices without needing to take down your server or servers while you physically move them. You can upgrade offices, you can change the office, you can even edit the layout without impacting users' productivity. Could you completely eliminate the office? With solutions like WeWork, Spaceworks, you can pay for space only when you need it. Now here's one of the key benefits, repurposing that office space funds. Now, if you were to downsize and it saved you money, That remote workforce moving to an at-home environment, this allows businesses to determine if reducing their office footprint can either save them money or be able to repurpose funds to increase cybersecurity, business continuity applications, or just save money. A voice over IP phone solution, unified communications, giving you the ability to give your employees the ability to work from home with a unified communication solution, reducing your costs. Collaboration tools, again, adding solutions like Teams and Slack. Increasing your cybersecurity. Maybe your cybersecurity today isn't as bolstered as it could be, and repurposing those funds here would be a fantastic way. As mentioned previously, the cyber attacks are happening more frequently. This year alone, we've already in the first 6 months doubled what we did last year, the entire year. The remote infrastructure, increasing the firewall or even adding SIM-log into that firewall and server infrastructure. Business continuity, bolstering your backups, making them so they're far more able to recover an environment quicker based on today's trends and what your business truly needs. And finally, new applications. Maybe it's time for a new CRM tool, an EMR, document management, or a new COVID safety solution like LiveMote, Synapse, Remote Concierge. Moving to the cloud. While the typical time to migrate to the cloud used to be hours and hours of copying data and extensive testing, all the while paying for both the on-prem and the cloud solution, this was never a great transition. Now with Office 365 paired with Teams, OneDrive, and SharePoint, you can effectively eliminate your storage and file servers. You will save money all the while having a vastly feature-rich collaboration solution for your employees to stay productive and have access to all the files you want them to based on the rules, just like you would from a traditional server with Active Directory. Add multi-factor authentication and you have a secure, feature-rich solution you can count on. That being said, backups. They're needed on all cloud-based solutions. An example is if a file is deleted and not noticed for a month, it's gone with OneDrive or SharePoint. Backing up this data with another solution is vital. Same goes for the cloud servers. These must have a backup solution, and in many cases, the cost of backup for an entire year is extremely costly. So having a folder structure to accommodate this is needed. If you'd like some additional information on this process, please let us know for a consultative session. By taking full advantage of Office 365 solution, you can eliminate at least some or all of your file storage servers, as we mentioned before. Plus, the migration process can be done by each employee who copies their own files to OneDrive and SharePoint. And as needed, main folders can be copied by the manager of that particular department. Then they can give access to only the users needing access to those files and folders. Building a plan. They can have minimal impact to the team while we typically migrate in phases. Today, if your staff is mostly out of the office and not accessing these files much today, now would be a great time to make this change. This way you're reducing the costs and doing it in a quick time to make yourself agile. Is your business nimble enough for the current landscape? We can help you test that. Where do we start? That would be a network and risk security assessment, giving you a baseline for your network. We're going to go over hardware, software, configuration, accessibility, security risks, and the cost to potentially move to the cloud. Most MSPs should do this at little to no cost. Now we're at the end of the presentation, and this is the part where we have questions. We want to give everybody about 5 to 10 minutes if we have that many questions. No question is a bad question. Again, my name is Nick Dreyfus, Sharp Business Systems, Director of Network Services, Southern California. There's my email and my phone number. Please do not hesitate to shoot me a text, give me a call, or send an email. We'd be more than happy to help. So I'm going to jump onto the system here and see if we have any questions. So it looks like we do have a question here. It says, where is my info actually being stored in the cloud? How do I know that my information is actually safe in the cloud? So this is a great two-part question. Basically what we want to say is your information is being stored in a specific data center. That particular data center, whether it's Azure or AWS or Google or even just a a data center that some company owns, like a Scale Matrix here in Southern California. These companies will build servers and infrastructure to accommodate just your space. Whereas with Azure, AWS, Google, they are mandated to keep your data containerized so that your data cannot be touched by any other business, right? So while the physical server may house multiple businesses on that infrastructure, the data cannot transfer back and forth. So when you say in the cloud, you're really just talking about a server that's at a data center. It's not really a cloud. I know some people kind of think that it is an actual cloud. It is not an actual cloud, but it is a data center that has most likely multiple servers. And then many times, as with AWS, Azure, Google, they use multiple data centers. So this way, if one data center goes out without power, your data was still syncing with all the other data centers across the globe. So your data would then you would just start accessing data from a different server data center cluster. Good question. Second part to that question was, how do I know that my info is actually safe in the cloud? This would be where you would have to do your research, right? Because there is different levels of Azure, AWS, Google, and then obviously a data center. They're all going to have different levels of connectivity and security. Obviously, the more money you pay for security, the more security you're going to have. That's going to be a business decision of how much money do I need to spend and how much money do I want to spend in reference to keeping my data as safe as possible. The more money you spend on those solutions and the more that you're able to containerize how the information is connected, this is how you're going to increase the likelihood of you staying safe and your data does not go anywhere else. So great question. Do we have any other questions? Don't hesitate to add any other questions.
Nick, I see a request on the chat box. I don't know if you see it on your end, but it asks for you to go over a few scenarios or give it a couple of examples of where it might be advantageous for a company to move to the cloud.
Yeah, good point. So basically, simply put, these days, if you're a business where maybe 5, 10, 15 years ago, you relied on many applications, which is the reason why you needed a server. If your applications have been moved to the cloud, like a Salesforce, Sage has solutions that are in the cloud. If you're migrating those services with those companies to the cloud already, then it allows your local infrastructure to then also go to the quote unquote cloud as well. This is where I would absolutely do it. If you're not being hindered by an application-based server that requires you to have a local solution set locally to connect to, like a QuickBooks, Great Plains is another example where you would need local infrastructure, which you could still go hybrid cloud in those scenarios, but to be able to go full cloud, we absolutely recommend that because typically you will see savings along with being able to have all those operational advantages and reduce cost and IT spend over time, right? So that's typically where if you're not having an application-based server that's requiring you to stay local, then it's absolutely a time for you to move to the cloud. Most businesses today have already purchased their last server, right? Basically 2015, 2016, even 2017 was the last server that most businesses are going to buy. Now in 2020, the vast majority, I would say over 50% of businesses can move to the cloud without any real hesitation, and it's not an issue. Great question. Do you see anything else, Karina? I'm sorry.
No, I don't see anything else on my end.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody again for the time today. Today was wonderful. I hope you really enjoyed today's session. Please, if you have any other questions, if anything else comes up, don't hesitate to give us a call, shoot us an email, or let us know, me in a text message with anything that you need. Thanks again, Nick Dreyfus from Sharp Business Systems, Southern California. Have an amazing day. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Karina.